It doesn't happen every day, but when EDC, everyday carry, saves a day, it is pretty awesome. I don't know if it happened to you guys before, but whenever someone needs a band-aid and you have one, or when someone says, oh, I have such a bad headache, and you say, well, I have aspirin or I have ibuprofen, would you want one? They look at you as if, man, are you some kind of wizard that you see the future? No, dude, it's common sense. Everyone needs a band-aid or an aspirin every once in a while. So it's not about being, seeing the future. It's just common sense. And it was actually a couple days ago that EDC again saved the day for me, not only once but twice. It goes days, weeks, months without you actually needing much of the stuff we carry around, but when you do, it's pretty cool. We were at the barber shop, and the guy cut himself with scissors, and I actually had my small first aid kit from one of my other bags, and I gave him a couple of an alcohol swabs to clean himself up and a band-aid to patch himself up. Later on that same day, my wife, she was removing some of the air of the radiators, that little valve that you unscrew it and air comes out, which happens on occasions with in the heating system, and it somehow came loose and she started screaming out for help. I was there, I had my Leatherman with me, and quickly with the needle pliers put it back in place and screw it back in there before anything bad happened with water pouring out and such. So that was, those little things that saved a day. And a first aid kit is a basic staple in your everyday carry that you should have. Thing is that it's very few of us that actually carry a bag with them. Having EDC at all, it's kind of rare. But if you're gonna be responsible enough so as to have a bag with you with some of the stuff that you obviously are going to be needing in life in general, a first aid kit is definitely part of it. This is a very cheap little first aid kit. Just I don't remember how much it was, but it couldn't have been more than a couple bucks or so. Very, very cheap. Didn't come with much in it, but I did upgrade a little bit with some of added content of my own. So what I liked was, especially the flat format, the plastic hard case. This is especially nice for a satchel, messenger bag, some of the typical bags that I have with me, and probably you guys have with yourselves as well. So if you see this around, I don't remember if they sell them online or not, but something similar to this, especially if you have a hard case, that would be appropriate. So let's take a look and see what's inside. And I'm going to be separating first what I added myself and what was in the little first aid kit to begin with. So yeah, these I added myself, this one too. So probably see these in gas stations or even in the supermarket. Probably you've seen these or something very similar. So this is what, separating this here, this is what came first in, originally came in this little first aid kit. Nothing really to write home about, just alcohol, prep pad for cleaning up a very small wound, just 2 of them, which is one of the reasons I upgraded with some of the stuff we'll see later. Plasters, one of the most common needed things, and yeah, you have a few of them and they're not bad. 4 plasters, a couple smaller ones, medium size. A sterile gauze dressing, this would be like for maybe a burn, a wound or something like that. I know that would be this one, the non-adherent sterile pad. Sterile gauze dressing, so as to use with the elastic gauze bandage. Very small, as you see. There's really not a lot of it here. Obviously, it's just a cheap little kit. Scissors that they do cut. I did try them, and they cut somewhat, and a bit of very small amount of tape, and a little first aid guide, which it's not bad. Just common sense stuff that you probably already know, but still good to have in an emergency. What I ended up adding of my own account would be these that I have here. just 2 alcohol swabs. I mean, I have a box of them, so 100 of them. So I use these for my kids and such. So I added a couple of those, a bigger one, antiseptic wipe, so as to have at least a couple more of those. A couple of better band-aids, in case it's something that it's wet or a bigger wound that requires a little bit of a better, more solid band-aid. A couple of those as well there. Ibuprofen, 4 pills of ibuprofen with the expiration date. Remember to have that visible whenever you're cutting. Aspirin, 4 aspirins, and diarrhea pills, 3 of them. I included some information about these being only good for 12 years old plus, meaning 12 years or older, and the doses would be 2 when first treating and another 1 when you continue with the symptoms. So just at least a basic supply. Most likely the things you're going to be using from this is the band-aids and aspirin or ibuprofen, small cuts or a headache, that sort of thing. But diarrhea is such a huge killer. When you look at disasters and such, one of the things that kills the most people is dehydration through diarrhea, and it's important enough so that for the small amount of space that it takes up, I at least will have a little bit of treatment for that if it ever occurs during a more serious disaster. If not, in general basis, if you're feeling sick, you stay home or you go back home, and that's that. But just in case, it's a good idea. Super glue, one of my favorite quick fixes for small cuts in your hands, or when your hands, the skin has dried up and it cuts on the sides and such. A little drop of super glue fixes that. Same for small cuts anywhere else. Super glue is actually good for fixing even bigger cuts in softer tissue like lips, in your mouth. It's been used for some rather more extensive reconstruction, like stuff like ears. You can actually do quite a bit of super glue if you look online and see what some people have managed to do with it. And finally, gloves. If you're going to be helping someone out, you definitely don't want to be in contact with someone else's blood. You don't know what's his condition and such. And if it's something not that serious like it was with my previous case that I told you guys about, the barber cutting himself, just avoid touching his own blood, and hand him over. You just give it to him and say, hey, here you have, you can clean up with this alcohol swab, and then you hand over the band-aid and let him take care of it. If you're going to be touching someone else's blood, then it's a much better idea to have gloves for it. This is a good basic little kit, nothing too extreme, but it's going to be there for those little emergencies. If you want to have something a little bit more for some more serious things, maybe adding a little bit of quick clot combat gauze. This stuff will stop some major bleeding that could be life-threatening. And just watch the video. Quick Clot themselves, the company has the video on YouTube, so watch it on how it's actually used. It's really not complicated, very simple, and can save someone's lives. So guys, that's basically it. Just a small video. Take care guys, see you in our next video. Have a great day.